on, Ramley? Ryan Dyer here. Before we get to the show, got to tell you quickly about our friends over at Sleeper, #1 sports app right now, and not just for season-long fantasy. They've got live score updates. They've got a chat you can communicate with other users. Plus, the best part is the daily fantasy feature, which is just like a live pick'em. Just choose 2 to 8 players across any sport. Choose more or less, and you can win real money. When you go to make your first deposit right now, use our promo code. You see it right down there, Rams LAFB, all one word. They're going to give you a match bonus up to $100. Put in $100, you get $100 free on top of that to play with. If you only want to deposit 10, they'll match you that 10. You're starting at 20. But wait, right now, any new users automatically get a $20 free entry to play with. No deposit required. However, you can stack that bonus, take that 20, go deposit whatever you choose up to 100 with that promo code RAMSLAFB, and they'll match you that. So now you've got extra free money to go play with. So check it out today. Download the Sleeper app. Tell them the guys over at the Rams LAFB sent you. Now, let's get on to the show. Yo, what's going on, Ramley? Welcome to the Rams LAFB show here on the Rams LAFB YouTube channel, LAFBnetwork.com. We are here talking Rams, Seahawks, plus some injury updates. My man Skinny was live right after the game, giving his full reaction to a 21-19 win over division rival Seattle. So check that out for a full kind of recap, but we'll touch on it today, the two of us, and then obviously some big injury updates, or at least maybe not updates, but ramifications potentially if they are not able to come back. So first and foremost, my man, Ryan Anderson. What's up, brother? How we doing? Sunny day today. The rain seems to have subsided for at least a day or two.
Yeah, I got a little bit of sun today. That's always welcome. But it's always a nice change of pace in the Southland to have something other than, beautiful blue skies, beautiful weather. Change of pace, switches it up, makes for a nice day on the couch watching movies for sure.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, I was at the USC game on Saturday, which was the peak of the monsoon weather. Very rainy, and it's just nice. A nice change of pace. Like if we lived in that 300 days a year, like the team the Rams just played in Seattle, like then it would be miserable. But 10 days of rain a year, I love it. I look forward to it. It actually feels like winter. I got the sweater on. Christmas is out, so it was good. And the Rams capitalized with a win. Seattle and Iowa, who USC played, brought their weather with them, but the Rams were able to maintain and get the win. Fairly ugly win, 21-19. The offense was not totally clicking. I wouldn't say it was like awful. I think we talked in the pregame. Seattle's just got a pretty good defense. I mean, they were the 9th overall ranked defense, and I think they showed that some on Sunday. What were your biggest takeaways, I guess, from this one, my man?
Yeah, I mean, it would have been nice to see the offense moving along a little bit better, but what Seattle was able to do was able to get them off that 13 personnel that was chugging along for the offense back to 11 personnel. And not every defense is going to be able to do that. I mean, like you said, this is one of the top ranked defenses, a ton of pressure on Stafford, which I've got articles out there. I'm sure we've touched on here several times. He kind of nosedives a little bit when under pressure like that. But again, not many defenses are going to get the pressure that Seattle can get. So, you take what you can get. And, I hate the phrase a win is a win, but in this case, playing against one of the best football teams in the NFL right now, you'll take that. You'll take a last second missed field goal based on an incredible punt by Ethan Evans, maybe punt of the year, everybody's saying. So yeah. What about you? I mean, I had a chance to react to this. You haven't had haven't had a chance to share your opinions. What were some of your takeaways and thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think at the jump, just a gutty win, and these are the type of wins you need to get to be a true Super Bowl contending team, right? Not clicking on all cylinders on offense, but the defense, obviously 4 interceptions, which I'm sure we'll talk about some more, but just getting after Darnold. We talked about in the pregame, like if they can apply pressure, Darnold has not, although he's improved this year under pressure, historically has not been good, specifically against the Rams. When we look at last year, those 2 games when he was in Minnesota, and they were able to do that. They basically took the script, it felt like, from those 2 games last year and just completely applied it in this one, and were able to get those 4 picks. And Seattle still was able to hang around and kept everyone on the edge of their seats at the end of that game and had a chance to, win it with that long distance field goal as time expired. But overall, you need these gutty wins. They got it. I like that in the first 2 offensive possessions in the red zone, back-to-back 4th down attempts. Obviously, the first one not converting, but the second one, they end up just handing it off, going smash mouth football to Kyren Williams. And he gets in for the touchdown. So love seeing a little bit more aggression from Sean McVay there instead of, you think about just analytically, right? If they would have kicked the field goal twice, they're actually still less points than converted. Like if you know in your head, hey, we're not going to convert one, we're going to convert one, you still end up with more points than 2 field goal attempts. So clearly played it right there. And they looked better, obviously, on the next possession in that first half. I'm a little interested, and this is what I'll ask you, Skinny. Like, I thought they could have stuck to the run a little bit more in this one. Stafford, not his most polished game, obviously 15 of 28, so pretty bad completion percentage. Did have the 2 interceptions, still no interceptions, or did have the 2 touchdowns, still no interceptions, but only 130 yards. But they ran the ball 20 times total between Williams and Corum. Williams only 12 carries, but had a 7.6 yard average. Are you a little surprised they didn't hand him the rock more and kind of lean on that, especially with the lead all game?
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. And I understand wanting to keep your foot on the pedal because obviously this is an explosive offense that you're going up against that can put points on the board pretty rapidly. That wasn't the case in this game. We could talk about that too, for sure. My thinking has changed on the running game. You and I have been both kind of pounding the table for the last several years. But once they come out of that 13 personnel, it just really kind of seems to grind to a halt. It becomes the Puka and Davante show again. 8 targets for both of those guys. Fumble for Puka. Was that his first of his career? I think they said. Anyhow,
that sounds right.
But when you're able to churn that much, but the thing is, it was hot and cold in that game for the running game. There were a couple of plays where they got blown up in the backfield.
True.
Lost 4 or 6 yards on it. So I guess I'm of 2 minds of it. You can obviously take time off the clock. That was one of the things that Seattle was doing. There's like, we're not giving this ball back to that offense. The second quarter, the Rams only had the ball for 1 minute and 17 seconds of the 15-minute quarter. And something like 68% of the time throughout the whole game, Seattle was in possession of it. So, I can see them wanting to be more aggressive when they do have the ball and really try to get more points on the board. But yeah, when you're going at it like that, when Kyren's got that mojo going, we got to go back to our old tendencies, you and I, and say, pound the rock, baby.
Yeah.
Because it started to look like that offense that we saw earlier in the season, which we were highly critical of, where it was just Puka and then like trying to get Davante the ball. It's kind of what it looked like again. And they truly, 4 interceptions. I mean, this game should have been lopsided.
Yeah.
They get the ball at the 3 and the 25 and they score on those attempts, but the other ones they don't score on. Still good field position, good turnovers. So, that's that. Yeah. I mean, why not? I mean, your ball security is much better with that. You're taking time off the clock. You're keeping the possession in. So yeah, I think so. I think you're right.
Yeah. Not to be, overly critical and negative, because, win's a win, especially division win, 8-2 now. You could argue the Rams are the best team in football. I don't think anyone would fight us on that. I think they are. I mean, Rams Broncos, baby, that's looking like a Super Bowl matchup, which would be heaven for me. But yeah, 4 interceptions. Like, even if you don't, you should be winning this game by more than 2 points. And the fact that Seattle had a chance to win it at the end, obviously, going up against the clock, but had an opportunity, that's just like, and what's good, I guess, Skinny, is, half the time when these conversations happen, it's like, man, if they play like this against a good team, like, they're not going to come out on top. Well, Seattle's a damn good team, and they did come on top. So that's the positive of it, is even when they weren't at their best, they still grinded out a win. But yeah, it definitely felt like the offense reverted back to those beginning games. And you even mentioned Puka and Davante both with 8 targets. Well, Davante had 1 catch for 1 yard and the touchdown. So 7 targets, like no completions.
A couple
Aside
of
from that,
bad kind of near drops I felt for him too that were really costly.
yeah, 100%. Yeah, definitely not his best game in horns,
No.
by any means. So, it is. I think the defense. I love the way the defense plays. I mean, Nate Landman. The secondary continues, I think, to impress and improve, and will only get better. But escape this one. But hey, you escape against a really damn good team that's you were tied with in the division essentially, and now you take that game, that sole possession, and as the top tier team in the NFC, and they got. We'll talk all week, but they got a fun game Sunday Night Football against the Buccaneers coming up, which you've already done a couple articles on. But that really, and we won't talk on it because we'll talk later, but this game this Sunday is where they can really take a stranglehold of the NFC if they're able to get a win. And historically in the McVay era, they've been great against the Buccaneers, regardless who's been there, whether it's Brady or Winston or whoever. They've just been a really good team against these Buccaneers. So we'll get all into that later, but a good win, but maybe a costly win, Skinny. Like there's still more we can talk about the game if you want to get to, but just feels like a good time to bring up because we're talking about the secondary improving. But Quentin Lake goes down, leaves the game. McVay says they're going to reassess. What was it, Wednesday when they'll fully reassess? But basically, surgery and IR are on the table. How costly could this be for the Rams?
It's huge. I mean, he's played nearly 100% of the snaps over the last 2 years. He's played 100% of the snaps this year. So apart from the ones he missed in this last game, but don't really know what this defense looks like without him because he's sort of a key member of it in their ability to play nickel. So if you look at this game in particular, they were playing a lot of cover 4. That was their preferred choice. And what that does is it puts 4 defenders deep into the backfield, defending against those explosive plays, preventing JSN from picking up huge chunks of yardage, things like that. They really effectively took that away. But what that does is it creates a lot of room underneath. So with, playing a lot of dime with Quentin Lake out there, he can match up pretty well against tight ends and slot receivers in coverage versus having, let's say, Omar Spates going up against Elijah Arroyo or something like that.
Yeah.
It's a mismatch there. So, Josh Wallace really came in and, former UDFA, I believe, out of Michigan and played had himself a good game. But what does it look like over the stretch, And it's hard to say because Quentin Lake has been out there. We don't really know what the defense looks like when Quentin Lake isn't available. So, it's going to be a big question. One of the articles I did write about the Buccaneers is their struggles against dime personnel. They haven't played a ton, 44 snaps, about 7% of their total dropbacks or of their total snaps anyway, but they're not good against it. Mm-hmm. So, what does that look like going forward? It's, are they going to rotate guys in? They brought in Roger McCreary, haven't seen him at all. They didn't put him in place of Quentin Lake. They opted for Josh Wallace, who's been with the team quite a bit longer, 2 years now. Is it going to be, are they going to have to rotate guys out basically is the big question. And are they going to be able to stay, a dime heavy team? Heavy meaning they play about a third of their snaps in dime personnel, which is top in the league, really. So, it could be a complexion changing for the defense, and a lot of those guys are going to get tested in a way that we'll learn a lot about them, I guess is a good way to put it, if they stick with it.
Yeah. I say this all the time. The comparative notables and the similarities, I guess, between the Rams and the USC Trojans. Obviously we cover both. So, but it's crazy how many things align together, not just in terms of offensive play calling with Lincoln Riley and Sean McVay, but in Saturday's game, USC wins a very sloppy, ugly Big Ten style game, kind of like what the Rams did. It was an ugly game, but hey, you came out on top against a good team. Well, USC also lost both safeties, Kamari Ramsey and Bishop Fitzgerald, that game. Kamari Ramsey has become essentially Quentin Lake of the USC Trojans. He's been safety his whole career. He's played a lot of nickel out of necessity in this season and been their real slot kind of do it all type of guy like Quentin Lake, and now he's at risk of missing, this big Oregon game and maybe more. And so the similarity is always crazy to me, how much is aligned between these two teams. And unfortunately, this time kind of a negative in terms of losing your key defensive, nickel slot guy. And so it'll be really interesting to see what the Rams do. And you alluded to it, so you don't want to talk more, but I'll just follow up. Like, in your mind, do you think they'll stick with just the Josh Wallace in that? Do you think, and I know you said it kind of, but what do you feel like they should do? Stick with Wallace, have a rotation, or really hand the keys, since they have a full week of preparation now, if Lake is out, for Roger McCreary to take over that role?
Yeah, it's a tough question for me to answer. Just because, like what I was saying, we don't know a lot about these guys and what they can do out of the position. The surprising thing that has surprised you and I is that they haven't made many changes to the secondary, even after Akella Witherspoon went down. I was surprised that they didn't go ahead and sign somebody or trade for somebody at that point. But they're rolling with the dogs that they came to the dance with. If that's a terrible metaphor, but
I get it.
They're dancing with the one they brought the dance to the dance.
There you go.
Is what I should say there. So I kind of think they're just going to lean with the guys that they know best. Just because that just seems like what they're going to do. And I'd love.
And why trade for McCreary, right? Why trade for him then? I don't disagree with you, by the way, but just playing devil's advocate.
Depth, I guess. I don't know. I mean, the quarterback position has been and linebacker too, is making both of us shrug and ask questions for the last couple of years. But they seem content with it. And like Emmanuel Forbes is a good case. Bring him on last season, kind of partway through, reclamation project. A lot of people doubting what he can do. And then he's made 3 gigantic plays over the last 3 games, game-saving plays in some instances, interceptions and a PBU in the end zone. And what is that born out of? It's Aubrey Pleasant and Sean McVay and the ecosystem that they've created. And I like talking X's and O's, but this is hearts and souls kind of stuff where they're just believing in guys. Jalen McCullough, another UDFA. In the secondary that has earned a role, as a big contributor. So they're just playing with a ton of confidence right now. And I think that's probably where they're going to lean. I don't know why, but maybe McCreary will be in next year. I don't know. Well, he's not under contract next year, but
yeah,
maybe by the playoffs or something. I don't know.
Yeah, and obviously it'll help if they have some clarity on Lake, today or tomorrow, and they can, if they decide they want to give McCreary those reps, he'll have a full week. Whereas I'm sure leading up to this, without Lake or anyone being injured on there, it's like he's getting 2nd tier, 3rd tier reps. Whereas if they're like, all right, let's see what you got, you're getting all the first team reps, and they'd feel more confident throwing him in game time. So I think that will kind of aid in the decision making of what Lake's availability is looking like. If they're saying surgery and or IRs on the table, I can't see him playing this Sunday. Hopefully it's only a 1 week miss and he's back for the next week. But usually if you're thinking that drastic, like you're not going to just miss 2 days of practice and be back for Sunday.
Yeah, no. Well, and we talk about it. McVay is always on the positive side of things.
Yeah.
He'll rule a guy questionable to play, and I think every other coach would put him as, what's the other one? Unlikely. Whatever.
Doubtful.
Yeah. Always on the positive side of all these things. So, the fact that some of the statements that came out, or some of the tweets that the beat writers were putting out about how kind of the team was reacting to the injury, I think it's much more on the serious side. We'll leave it up to the doctors, but the fact that it's even out there that's on the table, I'm guessing it's probably season ending. And I'm just kind of spitballing. I have no information on that, but just know what I know about this building and how they handle these situations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man. And you gotta just feel so much for Lake contract year. Like we've been saying, are they going to give him a second contract? Is he going to get it?
Yeah.
Um, and now if this injury is serious, it's like, what are the prospects look of that? Which we'll discuss later. We won't spend a lot of time right now, but it doesn't help his prospects of getting that second contract. Or if they become just horrible in that spot, maybe it will be like, okay, we drastically need Quentin Lake in this spot. We see the value, which I know they see the value, but if any, I guess worst case for him is it'll hurt his market value and the Rams will get him at a cheaper rate, which I guess for the fan base is good because you get him back, but that's for a different day to discuss. But just unfortunate. You feel for him. And he's a guy we love. We've met multiple times. True heart and soul, captain of his team. So it would be a massive loss if he is indeed out for the foreseeable future. So we'll have an update. I'm sure we'll jump on here tomorrow or even you by yourself or with someone else when we do have some clarity on that and kind of see moving forward what this defense could look like. Go ahead.
Higbee also injured, ankle injury. Not a lot of clarity on how severe that is. Probably not terribly severe, but it'll be interesting to see, you know, vis-a-vis the 13 personnel that they like to run. They've got 4 guys on the roster. If you have 3 tight ends out there, you know, you got to rotate those guys. Higbee obviously heavy in the rotation. So another thing to pay attention to.
Yeah. Turd Ferg with no targets or no catches, I should say.
Hardly any snaps either.
Yeah.
Well, that's indicative of them moving back to 11, I would imagine. But
yeah, because you were the one saying like in our pregame that Seattle's not been great against like tight end play, right?
Yeah, and I guess they clamped down because they forced the Rams to play kind of left-handed, you know, in a way. So
yeah, Touche McDonald on game plan that kind of won the chess match there. Like Rams got the win, but McDonald may have won the defensive chess match against McVay in this one.
Yeah, and they ended up staying in nickel. They didn't drop into their base personnel very much. So I think in terms of the schematic advantages, he was the one that you know, kind of got the nod on that one.
Yeah. Last question here. We'll get out of here. I'm gonna put you on the spot. I'll answer too. But when you look at this defense, who have you been kind of most impressed with? And not the usual suspects, obviously. But maybe one of the under radar guys that, and it doesn't have to be, I mean, it's a starter, so, you know, it doesn't have to be like some crazy name, but who have you just been most impressed with that has really stood out this year to you?
It's a good question. I mean, there's guys that have popped up onto the radar. Tyler Davis had a really good game last game. Had a pressure here, didn't blow anybody out of the water. Not a huge pressure rate in this game, which was interesting given the turnovers. Yeah, I mean, Landman is my out of nowhere award.
Yeah.
You know, just with all of those game changing plays that he's been a part of, and just the hustle that he plays with. Still, you know, he's not Fred Warner, but he's doing enough. I think. Yeah. I mean, Cam Kinchens in this game specifically. I mean, just his ability to ball hawk. You know, the defense is a tough one to single out because I think they play more as a unit. Even the defensive line, it's like Verse is obviously leading the pressures, Byron Young leading in sacks, but those guys work in concert. You know, it seems like you can't really unknit the sweater. Nod to Christmas time.
Nice, I like that. Well done.
So yeah, I think they're just. I mean, Chris Shula might be my most impressive. I mean,
yeah,
having watched him at press conferences, the way he composes himself, he's just very like workmanlike. He's like, yeah, you know, he's we'll see how it goes out there, and we'll see how he tests, and you know, we'll adjust from that. But he comes up with all these, you know, crazy stunts and blitzes and funness and the way that, I mean, the thing that I brought up in the live reaction is, you know, playing cover 4 and cover 2 against this team to take away those explosive passes. Only a 27% pressure rate in this game, which is low. But they held Darnold to 6.3 yards average per completion. His previous low is in San Francisco, 6.5, and he's averaging 9.3 yards per completion. So taking those big plays away, you didn't see him. There was that one to JSN down the sideline. That was an amazing catch.
Yeah.
And then that one that was deflected deep pass into the end zone that Emmanuel Forbes broke up. I mean, what a game plan. What a game plan.
Yeah, Chris Shula sucks because he's gonna be gone next year. I mean, he'll be a head coach. So
here we come, Miami.
Yeah, Rams will lose another assistant. That's the cruddy thing, but yeah, he's been fantastic, and we can call him the former Los Angeles Chargers head coach. Remember when the Chargers hired Brandon Staley? The photo the NFL posted was of Chris Shula, I believe, which is great. But yeah, I won't say too much. I agree with everything they said. I'll just throw out Emmanuel Forbes. I think he's really developed nicely. Former first round pick with Washington, came over, kind of just limited time and reps and practice. And obviously the body frame was always a concern, but I think he's continually gotten better. I don't think he's like a lockdown CB1, but he's done enough to make an impact on the field and to continue getting those reps. And obviously had that big pass deflection on Sunday. So shout out to Forbes and shout out to Aubrey Pleasant and the whole staff for getting someone like that up to speed and taking a player that another team didn't want, like most of this defense is, it feels like, outside of the draft picks, and turn them into starting caliber players. So yeah, I think the answer is Chris Shula and Aubrey Pleasant and the entire defensive staff for sure. But yeah, with that, we will get out of here. We'll be back tomorrow with some more injury updates. Thank you, Ramley, as always. Please hit that like and subscribe button here on the Rams LAFB YouTube channel. Starting to get some love over on Twitter. Make sure, if you are not already, be following Ryan Anderson, LAFB. He is your Rams go-to guy. I'm Ryan Dyer at LAFB, but my account, I'll be honest, is much more USC driven, and Ryan Anderson's got you covered all things Rams. So make sure to give him a follow if you are not. Everything is fantastic with all the data analytics and some of the satire and just, movie references and GIFs. Skinny's got you covered. So give him a follow. Our main account is LAFB Network. Easy to find on every social platform. That's right, Anderson. I'm Ryan Dyer. Thank you, Ramley. We'll be back tomorrow. Everyone be well. Talk to you soon.